DiDN Carrington is looking around the room like, oh my God, I've never been in this much fire. I mean, it's getting so bad that now her endorsements are potentially about to pull out on representing DiDN Carrington.
This just goes to show that DiDN has no self-awareness in what's going on. DiDN Carrington runs on threads immediately. White privilege at Indiana Fever. White privilege. You running around with blonde hair. It looked like you trying to be white. It looked like you trying to be a white girl. What are you talking about, white privilege? The white girl just got a technical foul for something she didn't even do. What are you talking about, white privilege, bro? This is why she should be banned from the league. They always run.
It states here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for DiDN Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham.
DiDN Carrington just watched her professional standing crumble in less than a week, and the wild reality is that almost all the harm was self-inflicted. This isn't a narrative about a referee blowing a whistle or a league picking on a specific athlete. Rather, it is the story of an aggressive physical foul that easily could have faded from the news cycle in a couple of days, only to transform into a massive public relations nightmare due to the decisions Carrington made immediately afterward.
Did y'all see what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there. And I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant too. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud. That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. The DiDN Carrington foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty too. It was absolutely positively correct call. It was called the flagrant two. That's a flagrant two every single damn time in the NBA and the WNBA.
During the opening quarter of a nationally broadcast matchup featuring the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham broke out on a fast break toward what appeared to be a routine layup. Carrington closed in from behind, striking Cunningham across the head and neck to send her hard to the hardwood. Following a video review, officials escalated the call to a flagrant 2 penalty, which is reserved for contact deemed excessive and unnecessary. Carrington received an immediate ejection, with the television broadcast capturing her departure as her expression revealed she knew this incident would hang over her head for a while.
DiDN Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this. She fouls Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouls her hard. Flagrant 2, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DiDN, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it.
Carrington faced a pivotal fork in the road at that exact instant, and she took the wrong path almost right away. Only minutes after being escorted off the hardwood, before even stepping inside the team locker room, she posted the phrase white privilege on social media while tagging the Fever directly. With zero context or clarification provided, she threw those 2 heavy words into an ongoing national conversation that already involved Cunningham from a totally separate discussion regarding transgender participation in women's sports. Carrington then followed up by posting the date of their upcoming rematch paired with a subtle smiley face, which many observers viewed as a calculated effort to provoke a response.
I would actually say that this is black privilege, to be totally honest with you, because her posting this white racist comment right after assaulting Sophie Cunningham on the court is actually black privilege because she knows the WNBA won't do a single thing of significance about it. And imagine if the roles were reversed. If Sophie made a comment similar to this, then she'd likely never play again. And actually, we just saw this from Coach Sandy Brondello. She got disciplined for making, I believe, a pretty innocent, maybe, offhand comment about talking about Angel Reese and saying that she's a protected species. She was suspended and disciplined. And I think if that's the standard, then DiDN should be too.
Consider how those events look to the broader public. An athlete gets tossed for an unsafe physical foul, and rather than catching her breath, she immediately reaches for one of the most polarizing concepts in modern culture and sends it out without context. regardless of what her true intent was, and she would go on to offer 3 distinct explanations over the next few days. The immediate impression left on millions of viewers was that she was implying the refereeing crew judged her based on race. Making such a serious allegation, even indirectly, creates a scenario where you can never fully erase the claim once it is out in the open.
I'm just wondering, is this all some sort of bizarre PR strategy to attract eyeballs, or is the WNBA fundamentally broken?
No. That's you, because you're a good person trying to find some kind of rational reason for doing this other than what it is. It's pure and simple racism and hate. They're mad that the best player in the league is a heterosexual white woman. Let's just be honest. She's not one of the confidants in their creed. And so therefore it's been a concentrated effort to go after her. Even her head coach doesn't stand by. So, and I think it's hilarious, and at the same time, they don't know what a woman is. And I'm very proud of Freedom and the other gentlemen for finding out who they are. And I wish them the best. And hopefully the league will, since it's an all tolerant league and their head coaches wear shirts about trans women count. Well, here's 2. And I hope they give them their opportunity, and the young lady in France as well. So I think it's a league that has got away with being racist and disgusting to people. And now they're, Americans are smart to it. So hopefully they get some of their own, but I wouldn't let my daughters watch it.
That message did not remain isolated for long. Within hours, it swept across basketball communities online, instantly shifting the narrative from a physical basketball play into a debate about racial dynamics, intent, and whether Carrington was deploying serious rhetoric to mask an unsportsmanlike play. Her situation began to spiral at this exact point. Instead of discussing a routine flagrant foul, everyone was debating if Carrington had leveled unfounded accusations of racial bias against the officiating crew and the league. Major national outlets picked up the story. Sports Talk Radio dissected it the following morning, and the conversation completely moved away from basketball.
Paying attention to what DiJonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham, it was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by DiJonai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. DiJonai, you hit her in the head and you drew blood.
Soon after, the public pushback found a prominent voice. Media personality and former NFL player Emmanuel Acho addressed the Post directly on his program, tearing into her statements. He pointed out that she struck an opponent in the head, caused bleeding, and made no play on the ball, calling it extremely foolish to frame that specific physical play around white privilege. That represents a major force in sports media calling a WNBA player ignorant on air shortly after an ejection, which goes far beyond casual commentary from online trolls. It meant an influential figure with a massive platform was publicly evaluating Carrington's judgment, creating a widely shared clip that promised to stick around far longer than the original penalty on the court. Carrington then tried to backtrack, but her approach only compounded the confusion. Instead of offering a clear, calm explanation, she targeted Ocho directly on X, asserting she never claimed the penalty itself was tied to white privilege, and telling him to exercise better critical thinking skills while referencing his psychology degree. She doubled down by noting her Stanford education and insisting she would never use such phrases recklessly without backing. Attempting to defend her original post while simultaneously denying its obvious interpretation, created an aggressive, confusing message that satisfied virtually no one. It sparked a secondary controversy over her combative tone, alienating fans who might have given her the benefit of the doubt after the game.
Every single game for the rest of the season counts. And the fact that she let her hate and her ego cost the game for her entire team is so toxic. It goes to show that she has very little respect for her teammates because they all work their absolute asses off. They've all got something to prove. They know that, they started the season with all this hype. They didn't kick it off very strong. And so they have all been working their asses off, coming together, playing patiently. When I say patiently, they've been playing patiently, learning how to actually run the court together. A lot of new pieces. There's been some injuries. There's been people returning from injury. There's been a lot of changes. The fact that they were just on the rise, and as a Fever fan, I can say they were actually schooling us in the first quarter. They came back when we were up 8 points. DiDN herself was balling out, and she just cost the game for her teammates.
2 days later, while standing before reporters ahead of Chicago's game against Seattle, Carrington attempted a third version of her story. This time around, she described the foul as an unfortunate physical accident, blaming her off-target timing on rust from a recent foot injury. Regarding her online activity, she remained ambiguous, claiming only that she had reached out to individuals who possess the power to institute real change. Offering 3 completely different accounts over 3 days, a hard basketball play driven by intensity, a viral post supposedly unrelated to the foul, and a defense of that exact same post, created a moving target that turned a bad week into a damaged reputation. Media members, fans, and corporate partners all recognized that her story kept shifting, with every new attempt at damage control raising fresh concerns.
She posted white privilege after getting tossed from the game, but says it wasn't about the foul. Can you explain this?
No, I can't. When she tweeted white privilege, she did it so quickly, it was almost as though she had the phone in her pocket after this foul and she got ejected. So, to say she wasn't referring to this play or getting kicked out and saying that the only reason she got kicked out and it got upgraded is because Sophie Cunningham is white is crazy. It was a crazy thing to tweet, maybe crazier than to try to act like it had nothing to do with the play. So I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't think anybody can have any idea what she's talking about. Bizarre.
Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham took an entirely different approach that made Carrington's actions look even worse by comparison. She remained completely composed. When asked about the online post following Indiana's victory, Cunningham simply stated she believed the league was handling the matter and that race had no place in the discussion. She noted that she had experienced a similar ejection the previous year, accepted her punishment, and saw no reason to drag race into the current situation. Delivering a calm response without shouting or making demands highlighted the stark contrast between one player staying composed and another cycling through 3 different excuses, creating a sharp visual that corporate sponsors notice immediately. Cunningham emerged from the situation looking like the level-headed professional in the room, while Carrington appeared to be struggling to figure out her own narrative.
Oh my God, it's getting real. It is getting very much real. For in the field, for them pockets. That's what I like to see. Pockets getting hit hard, bro. Hard. Because somebody need to hold these players accountable for the stupidity they have been putting out. Because it has been a lot of stupidity. And to add even more salt to injuries, thousands of people are calling for Reebok to drop their endorsement for DiDN Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Now, this was from earlier this morning.
This dynamic brings us directly to the consequence that currently threatens Carrington's professional livelihood. Reebok signed Carrington to a multi-year sponsorship agreement back in April, positioning her as a core ambassador for their basketball brand relaunch alongside the Solution sneaker. That endorsement was a major milestone built on her MEP award and all-defensive first-team honors, establishing her as one of the league's rising commercial figures heading into the season. However, as soon as the online firestorm erupted, critics flooded Reebok's social channels demanding they terminate her contract immediately over the dirty play and subsequent excuses. That level of direct public pressure forces brands to act, as corporate teams track comment sections carefully and view overwhelming negativity around a featured sneaker line as a serious business threat rather than a minor PR issue.
But when black people do some foolishness, they got to be held accountable just like any other damn race. And I'm telling you right now, she need to be held accountable. So Reebok, stick it to her. Stick it to her. Because what she did was ruined a brand deal like no other. She ain't even all that on the basketball court anyways. Common sense would have told you not to clothesline Sophie Cunningham from hell. Because you want to know why? The backlash you're going to get from that decision will affect your pockets. And I'm so happy that these brands are now seeing what we've been seeing. A whole lot of BS going on from these players. And I'm telling you right now, more players need to lose brand deals when they do stupidity, especially to Caitlin Clark.
According to several circulating reports, Reebok is now moving to cancel Carrington's endorsement deal entirely to distance itself from the mess. Companies rarely walk away from signed endorsement contracts lightly. Given the existing legal agreements, pre-planned marketing strategies, and capital already invested, for Reebok to initiate a quick break demonstrates how poorly their internal leadership viewed the escalating controversy. The company prioritized immediate distance, knowing that remaining linked to such an unpredictable situation would continually draw their brand into negative headlines.
DIDN Carrington, after getting thrown out of the game for her ridiculous foul on Sophie Cunningham, went to social media and claimed white privilege. To that, Emmanuel Acho basically pushed back and said you can't call everything white privilege. It undercuts the idea so many have talked about. And then DIDN went to X and responded to Emmanuel Acho. He said, I never once claimed that the assessment of the foul was white privilege. That was your assumption. Try exercising your critical thinking skills. No, you studied psych. Furthermore, I'm the last thing from ignorant or asinine when it comes to speaking on white privilege. Do your research on that one. Actually went to school, one of the top universities, might I add, to educate myself on this exact subject. I would never use that term as a rhetorical weapon, knowing the historical and social weight it holds without having the proper evidence to substantiate it. So, in your face, Annual. What I want to know is, then why were you posting white privilege in the locker room immediately after being ejected? What were you randomly sitting in the locker room having just been ejected thinking about when you posted white privilege, and by the way, tagged the Indiana Fever?
The uncomfortable truth at the core of this situation is simple. None of this was unavoidable. Physical flagrant fouls happen in professional basketball every week, where players accept their fines, take their ejections, and move forward while the public forgets the play within days. Carrington's downfall was not the initial whistle, but every single decision she made after leaving the floor. The immediate online post tagging an opponent, the follow-up smiley face hinting at future conflict, the combative public arguments, and the inconsistent press conference statements were all completely optional choices. When corporate sponsors evaluate that pattern of behavior in real time, the lack of composure matters far more than the athletic penalty, because brands pay athletes to represent their image without creating unwanted public management crises.
Hey, the black girl, jail.
You need to go to jail. Immediately. You would have to leave. It's gonna be okay. Go straight to jail.
This is assault, right? This is assault. Now let me tell you something. This is assault. She needs to go to jail. Premeditated. Go to jail. Go to jail. She needs to be arrested. Go to jail. I want her in jail. I want her in jail. She should never touch her. Nah, can't do it. All right, we already know the WNBA is in a position right now. You need to make an example of that Don Imus. That Don Imus needs to be made an example of. That Don Imus needs to be made an example of. She needs to go to jail for assaulting Miss Cunningham. She needs to go to jail immediately.
There is also an underlying element of competitive friction running beneath this entire timeline that is tough to overlook. Cunningham spent the entire year as one of the most discussed figures in the sport, generating massive media coverage, drawing huge digital followings, and standing at the center of broader cultural debates. Carrington, despite putting up impressive personal statistics, frequently had to fight for that same level of public spotlight. When two competitors share intense history on the floor, while one consistently captures the national spotlight, long-standing competitive friction can easily spill over into personal resentment. Whether that dynamic triggered the original physical play or not, Carrington's rapid escalation and defensive posture read far more like personal frustration reaching a boiling point than a simple miscalculated basketball play. Now she faces serious professional hurdles, as a high-profile shoe deal termination signals caution to potential corporate partners. Front offices begin questioning if her presence introduces unnecessary distractions. Hostile road crowds gain extra motivation to boo her, and teammates are left answering awkward press conference questions about off-court drama.
Now let's talk about black privilege for a second. Doing something completely wrong and unethical, and instead of taking responsibility, pulls out the race card and acts like a victim. Yeah, that's what we just witnessed here. The sheer lack of accountability on DiJonai's end, that was so intentional. Look at DiJonai staring at Sophie's head the whole time, and look at her reaction after. That's anger. A normal reaction would be to ask if Sophie was okay or immediately apologize. But instead she shoves her. The audacity to go and cry wolf and pull out the fake victim card and scream white privilege. All the while making Sophie Cunningham bleed as a result to her actions. People are tired of everything being blamed on race. I wouldn't be surprised if DiJonai did this in response to Sophie Cunningham coming out vocally in response to protecting women in women's sports. This was not white privilege. Under DiJonai's definition of white privilege, here's some more white privilege. Getting ejected from the game was called consequences to actions. And DiJonai should be thankful that an ejection is all that happened, because she ought to be suspended from the entire league.
Consider once more how Cunningham handled her own ejection the previous season by taking responsibility, taking her punishment, and moving on without creating an extended media storm. That contrast highlights the line between a bad game and a full-blown career crisis, as one player allowed the moment to pass while the other continuously added fuel through posts and explanations until her primary sponsor pulled its support. Ultimately, natural talent earns an athlete their initial contract, but composure is what protects those business opportunities over time. Carrington has plenty of basketball talent, but her recent choices demonstrated how quickly commercial standing can erode when every single statement and attempt at damage control only serves to widen the mess. Carrington didn't jeopardize her commercial viability because of a hard foul. She lost it because of everything she said afterward, when she had every opportunity to pause and take a different approach.